We're going to continue Grace, aka Werevlog. Let's see where we were. I'm going to get my other glasses. Where's Kitty? Kitty's over here snoozing. They can sleep up to 20 hours a day. Kind of patching up something for the ending where I only had notes. Now I have some scenes. The spray bottle, remember there's the spray canister named Old Sherry, and there's just the spray bottle, which Gerald carries. It has the liquid silver. So we have a close-up of that falling to the ground. There's a wide shot of kitchen area, Gerald falling to his knees. Gerald spins around and sprays the beast with the bottle. The she-wolf doubles over and begins to transform back into her original form. Why we have him falling to his knees is because we have the whoosh, which is usually the claw. So what we can do to show it is we can do a close-up, a series of close-ups here. There's a close-up. And then we'll just simply write down claw, scratches, Gerald's back. And we'll even be even more specific and say wolf. Okay. And we could say lycanthrope, but wolf will be fine. Close-up, wolf claw scratches Gerald's back. Close-up, spray bottle falling to the ground. Wide shot of kitchen area, Gerald falling to his knees. So we have two close-ups and then a wide shot. Gerald spins around and sprays the beast with the bottle. And this can simply be a wide shot too. And then we have the next segment. The she-wolf doubles over, begins to transform back into the original form. In her original form, Rainey knocks Gerald over and scratches his back. She picks him up and tosses him and goes flying across the room. We're going to do that as a long shot, or what we call a wide shot. The wide shots should be fine. Should be kitchen and living room. Okay, so that kind of shows you here, wide shot, kitchen and living room. In her original form, Rainey knocks Gerald over and scratches his back. She picks him up and tosses him, and he goes flying across the room, crashes against the bookshelf. Gerald has a scratch mark on his back, okay. We can do maybe a close-up. Gerald's maybe back. Okay, then we'll cut to her living room moments later. Gerald lies in the living room with floor and pain, breathing heavily. All right, so I can classify this all as probably the fight sequence. But we're getting to that probably in the kitchen area. So yeah, so we could say final fight, the wolf. We'll just say that. It's called the wolf at times. Sometimes I call them lycanthrope. Actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and now call it the she-wolf. Final fight with the she-wolf, and then we're going through all this right here. Gerald lies on the living room floor in pain, breathing heavily. Interior living room. Moments later, John Blacksmith lies on the couch and digging through his backpack. Wide shot couch. John Blacksmith lies on the couch holding his side. Rainey appears before him. She is half transformed, half she-wolf and half Rainey. Rainey is as the nearly lycanthrope. I'll say hisses. I mean, hisses. hissing, I guess is what you'd say. Rainy is nearly the lycanthrope hissing. Remember me, John Blacksmith says. You're hard to forget. John reaches for one of his daggers in his backpack, so he's been doing that earlier. The lycanthrope bites John Blacksmith's hand. John screams, and when you see the bite of the hand, probably, you know, she's lunging towards him, so John reaches for one of the daggers in his backpack. I guess, lunges, I guess is a word, at him. Okay, I think that's right on lunges. So I had to go back here to add the lantern. John pulls out a LED light Coleman lantern from his backpack. All right, I found a little bit here. This takes time. In original form, Rainey knocks Gerald over and scratches his back. Rainey picks up John and tosses him, and he flies across the room and crashes against a bookshelf. A pile of books cover him. Close up, Gerald's back. Gerald has a scratch mark down his back. Okay, we know that. Cut to interior living room. Moments later, Gerald lies on the living room floor in pain, breathing heavily. Gerald tosses a few books to the side. He holds one close to his gaze and reads the title. The Sun Also Rises. Haven't read it yet. Looks like a good one. Cut to. Okay, so we're gonna have to do something here to kind of button this up. We have another little thing that I added on to they walk to the back door. She left the back door open. We should just walk in, talk to Grace, show him it is her. My side's hurting pretty bad. I thought, what a little man here, like the fact that he's kind of this. My side's hurting pretty bad, man. Just sit me on the couch. Gerald sits John on the couch and begins scratching for Grace within the ranch house. The shadow of the wolf at superhuman speed zips past in the foreground. This would be probably the background, not the foreground. A little. That would still be cool too. It might, but the foreground would be just, you know. I like the background. Zips past in the background. Gerald and John do not notice the beast as it darts from room to room. Gerald and John do not notice the beast as, I guess this would be the word as it darts from room to room. So it just kind of passes in the foreground, the background. In the background is what I'm talking about. So the shadow of the wolf at superhuman scene zips past in the background. Gerald and John do not notice the beast as it darts from room to room. The final fights with the she-wolf. We'll revlog this. Just note, in her original form, when Rainey knocks Gerald over and scratches his back, Rainey picks Gerald up and tosses him, and he flies across the room and crashes against a bookshelf. A pile of books cover him. That's when there's a close-up of Gerald's back. Gerald has a scratch mark down his back and is covered in books. Or I guess we wouldn't really be able to see that, but maybe a few books fall over. We'll add some. All right, so a pile of books cover Gerald. It could be a scene title. So we have in original form, Rainey knocks Gerald over and scratches his back. Rainey picks Gerald up and tosses him, and he flies across the room and crashes against a bookshelf. A pile of books cover him. Close up Gerald's back. A pile of books cover Gerald. A few books fall away. We notice Gerald has a scratch mark down his back. Cut to interior living room. Moments later, Gerald lies on the living room floor in pain, breathing heavily. Gerald tosses a few books to the side. He holds one close to his gaze and reads the title. The Sun Also Rises. Haven't read it yet. Looks like a good one. Gerald tosses the book at the kitchen. We're going to have that. So here we go. The Sun Also Rises. Haven't read it yet. Looks like a good one. Gerald tosses the book at the kitchen. Howling arises. Arrrr! A shadow of wolf zips through the kitchen, hissing. Cut to in the living room. Moments later, John Blacksmith lies on the couch digging through his backpack. Wide shot, and then we get to the biting of the hand. And we only see the hand being bit through the shadow. So that is why I have to add something. The lantern is brought into the whole scene the entire time. So this is the lantern that's brought out at the barn. That lantern will be lighting this entire scene. be one Coleman LED light. We added that here, exterior field before the ranch house months later. Gerald holds a lantern to light the way. In his other hand, Gerald drapes John's arm around his shoulders and helps him limp along a trail of Grace's ranch house. I think you show the footage to Grace and convince him to be our ally. How do we prove the beast is Rainy? Grace will probably have to see her transform. We might get there. Cut to exterior backyard ranch house, and then we'll just, bring in the lantern. Okay, we're going to wrap up something here. The werewolf is struck by the liquid silver lava from the canister, and the beast runs out of the barn, yapping and howling. The wolfish beast darts past a large wood power pole near the barn, knocking the transformer loose. Sparks fly. And then, I forgot to put sorry about that. The werewolf is struck by the liquid silver lava from the canister. The wolfish beast darts past large wood power pole was near the barn, knocking. So the wolfish beast darts past a large wood power pole near the barn, knocking the transformer loose. Sparks fly. Cut to the ranch house lights turn off. Cut to the barnyard that night. Gerald helps John walk to a piece of plywood next to the hen house. The chickens wildly cluck. Okay, we're going to do another thing too. I wanted to do this originally when I wrote it. When this happens, when the transformer loose, sparks fly, I think that pole catches fire, and that fire leads to burning the barn. So we have a barn burning in the background during the fight sequence. All right, so this is after Gerald pulls the trigger. The werewolf is struck by the liquid silver lava from the canister, and the beast runs out of the barn, yapping and howling. The wolfish beast darts past a large wood power pole near the barn, knocking the transformer loose. Sparks fly. The wood pole catches fire. Flame pole falls over into the barn, catching the barn and barnyard on fire. The hay begins to burn, and the chickens fly into the air, clucking and scattering. The cattle moo, and cowbells sound. A grass fire sets aflame and begins to wildly spread. The horses in the stable stop to the ground and neigh. Black smoke fills the air over the ranch. The ranch begins to burn. And this would be like a sequence of shots, probably cuts. Now, the ranch begins to burn, so it's burning in the background. So we see that throughout the fight sequence. Cut to exterior ranch house simultaneously. The ranch house lights turn off. So that's why the Coleman lantern will be needed. It'll all be lit by a Coleman lantern, one LED lantern, once they get to the dark ranch house. See that here, exterior backyard ranch house. Months later, the back fence door is open and darkness awaits inside. Gerald helps John through the door. He looks up and notices the back sliding door is open. She left the back door open. We should just walk in, talk to Grace, show him that the beast is her. They walk into the back doors. Gerald lights the room with the lantern. Okay, that's supposed to be there. We see shadows of the fire. We see shadows. We can see shadows from the barn burning in the background or something. So they walk in to the back door as Gerald lights the room with the lantern. Shadows and strips of light enter the living room as the barn burns in the background. My side's hurting pretty bad, man. Just set me on the couch. So we can see all that throughout the fight sequence. So I think a lot of the fight sequence is going to have strips of light coming in from the fire and the background where the barn is, kind of on the hill. And we can see the smoke coming in, black smoke eventually enters the room, kind of like its own ghost kind of thing. And it's kind of hovering in the air through all of this. And I guess at times they could be coughing. John reaches for one of his daggers in his backpack. The lycanthrope lunges at him. All this is done with kind of smoke in the air. The lycanthrope bites John, the blacksmith's hand. John screams in pain. When I was writing this, there was a time when Linda was cooking or something, and I had walked into this room, and it was all kind of misty and smoky. It was like the story coming after me. I wasn't here, walking around and entering into me. It was very strange. And then I looked back, I came back, and it was like the smoke was gone. Weird things have happened to me as I've been writing this lycanthrope film. A lot of things have happened, but I was bit by a dog when I was younger, in my 20s. I was about maybe 25. My friend, who's a writer, he's a playwright too, his dog Kane bit me right here. He was a little wild dog. I had to jump into the bathroom and shut the door. The dog has passed away since, but you can still see the dog bite. That's possibly why I have the whole thing about the dog being bit. I mean, I'm sorry, the dog biting the hand of John Blacksmith, getting his hand, you know. It's very painful. It still hurts me today, even when I'm using a screwdriver or anything. I can still feel the fang of the dog's fang, and you know, you can see it right there. It actually slightly went into my palm, right there. It's right there. I've always considered that. It was checked for rabies and put on a watch for a while after it bit me, just because I'm crazy. John screams in pain. Oh God, my hand. Okay, I just wrote this, so it's kind of weird. This couch moments later. John very weakly dials the phone. Okay, so John Blacksmith's hand is in the skillet. Interior kitchen that night. Grace walks into the kitchen, finds Rainey frying up John Blacksmith's hand in an iron skillet. Only her legs reveal she's a she-wolf. Rainey's only half lycanthrope at the present moment as she cooks in her kitchen. Gerald starts off strong and then becomes weaker toward the end of his speech to Grace. Look, Grace. Look at her. She's not of human form. She's a lycanthrope. She must be dealt with. She's a beast of the devil, Grace. She's not your love at all. I gotta put that right there. Sorry about that. Not anymore, Grace. Do something, dear friend. Do something. Call the authorities. John is nearly dead. She nearly killed him. She bit his hand off. Yeah, I think that is. She bit off his hand. She bit off his hand. I almost had it right there, so I'll start again. Look, Grace. Look at her. She's not of human form. She's a lycanthrope. She must be dealt with. She's a beast of the devil, Grace. She's not your love she's not your love at all. Yeah. Try over. Look, Grace. Look at her. She's not of human form. She's a lycanthrope. She must be dealt with. She's a beast of the devil, Grace. She's not your love at all. Not anymore. Grace, do something, dear friend. Do something. Call the authorities. John is nearly dead. She nearly killed him. She bit off his hand. Look. Look in the skillet. I'm near death myself. Call for help, Grace. She's frying up his hand. God forbid. Cut to couch moments later. John very weakly dials the phone, of course with his free hand. My name is John Blacksmith. My hand has been bit off by a she-wolf. Send the police. 1667 Winters Road, Barksville, Texas. Grace Lippin's place. John eyes closed and he drops the smartphone. Generally finally stands and walks over to Grace. What else do we have to prove to you? Sweetie, what is wrong with you? Rennie turns to him. I don't know what you mean. She continues frying John Blacksmith's hand on the skillet. Did you do this to them? Do you want some of his hand? You're mad. She has the curse, Grace. It is forbidden for her to go on the state. Do you have silver? Her dagger is silver, the one from her band. It's in the trophy case. Rainey hisses and runs to the garage with John's hand. I just wrote that. All right, so we patched up something a little bit better than what it was. I've been working on it, I guess, all day, off and on, as much as I can mentally handle it. There is some nice stuff. I mean, this, you know, like it is a horror comedy. I'm trying to find. Okay, so we have now a new fire that takes place in the barn. There's a lot of shadows and smoke coming in. The shadow of a wolf zips through the kitchen, hissing. Cheery living room. John Blacksmith lies on the couch, digging through his backpack. Wide shot couch. why don't we just do this? Why don't we just go through a reading for tonight? We'll print it, send it off to Grim Life, the Backyard Ranch House moments later. I'm mostly doing this so that a physical copy of the script can go somewhere in the industry. Grim Life is in the horror genre. They do have a P.O. box. They do ask people to send them strange and unusual stuff. This is strange and unusual script. They'll receive it. You know, we'll see what happens. And this is kind of like the last sequence. So we're just going to take a moment, a break. I kind of brought y'all along with me as I wrote it because I always thought that'd be cool to see. You know, someone write a script, you know, actively do it as much as I can. And then we'll do a reading and, you know, I'll have to do my corrections. I'll promise I'll go through it at least once and try to correct everything. So now you guys you're like, this is happening. And, you know, you're like, oh, listening to it and, oh, and all this, you know, because I have to put it down and make a correction. But I wanted to kind of do that as live as I could. But here it is, just spinning it through. It's pretty rough. She cooks up his hand in a skillet. And then there's the final scene with the paramedics. And, of course, John Blacksmith lives. Now, it's very possible, we're at 185 on the pages, that actually, Gerald lives. There's a very good chance that John Blacksmith is also still alive, even though he lost his hand. But he would definitely become a werewolf, so... I don't say that he dies, even though originally he did, but I say that his eyes fall shut. But he does lose his hand, so if he comes back, he'll be like a one-handed werewolf. All right. So the garage door begins to jerk open, white shot of ranch house garage. The garage door slowly opens. Rainey stands in the garage alone. She walks out to find the moon in the air. The smoke is shielding the rays of the moon. Rainey returns to the original womanly state. That makes sense. So the smoke goes in front of the full moon. She no longer can be a werewolf because of the smoke from the barn fire. That's when she re-enters from the garage. The she-wolf temporarily dies. Rainey falls exhausted on the kitchen floor, breathing slowly. Grace goes to her and holds her hand. He gives her the secret handshake they have shared in the past. It's going to be okay, honey. Don't give up. Just hang on. Something very strange happened to you. And you're going to get better, okay, sweetie? I'll get to all that. Oh, kitty, we love you. 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 Little Edmund, Tuxedo Cassavetes, has not got his wet food yet because we ran out. But the cat food is on its way because Linda is getting some. Okay. Kind of tired, aren't you? He's been sleeping for 20 hours.